You've been lied to about manifestation, not in a malicious way, but in a way that keeps you spinning your wheels, chasing results, and feeling like you're doing something wrong. You've been told you need a vision board, the right moon phase, the right frequency music, a gratitude journal, perfectly worded affirmations, and a specific time of day to visualize. And even then, if it doesn't work, it's probably because your vibration wasn't high enough. Sound familiar? The truth is, none of that is necessary. Not because it's bad, but because it distracts you from what actually matters. The real reason manifestation doesn't work for most people is because they're focusing on performance, not presence. Complexity gives the illusion of progress, but it often masks a deep fear, the fear that if we let things be simple, they might not work. But manifestation isn't meant to be complicated. In fact, the quantum universe responds best to simplicity. Simplicity creates clarity, and clarity creates alignment. And alignment, not effort, is what bends reality. What if the very rituals you've been clinging to are the reason it's not happening? What if the endless affirmations, visualizations, and energy hacks are just adding noise to your signal? The moment you stop chasing formulas and start tuning inwards is the moment everything begins to shift. The people who manifest effortlessly aren't the ones doing the most, they're the ones being the most. Being present, being coherent, being aligned. And the irony, that state is available to you right now, without changing a single thing outside of you. The only thing that has to shift is how you're showing up inside the field. That's where it all begins. Because manifestation isn't about effort, it's about resonance. Let's peel back the curtain. Right now, you are surrounded by an invisible sea of possibility. The quantum field isn't just an abstract theory, it's the fabric of your reality. Everything you could ever want or imagine already exists within it, not as a wish, but as a waveform, a probability waiting to be chosen. Your dream life isn't something you build piece by piece like a puzzle. It's a frequency you tune into, a version of reality you collapse into form by how you show up. You're not waiting for it to appear, it's waiting for you to become coherent with it. The field isn't moved by desperation or control. It doesn't care how badly you want something. It doesn't listen to your words. It listens to your energy. Your internal state is the command. Imagine a radio. It doesn't matter how much you beg it to play your favorite song. Until you tune to the right frequency, you'll hear static or the wrong station. The same is true here. The field isn't malfunctioning. It's just receiving the mixed signals you're unknowingly sending. And this is where it gets exciting. Because when you realize you're not manifesting from effort but from energy, the whole game changes. You stop trying to get something and start learning how to become the version of you who already has it. The version of you who breathes differently, thinks differently, moves differently, not in some imagined future, but right now. That's how the quantum field works. It doesn't need a plan. It needs precision, not control, but congruence. And congruence starts inside. When your thoughts say one thing but your body is clenched in fear, the field doesn't trust your words. When you visualize abundance but check your bank account in panic, the field mirrors back the panic. Not because it's punishing you, but because it's exact. That's why people stay stuck. They're aligning on the surface while broadcasting chaos beneath. The quantum field isn't fooled by positive thinking. It's reading the totality of your signal. Your mind, your body, your emotional tone, your nervous system. It's not mystical, it's mechanical. And here's the wild part. You've already experienced quantum manifestation. Think of a time something just clicked. You weren't forcing it, weren't obsessing over it. It just happened. The right opportunity, the perfect connection, the solution that showed up out of nowhere. You were aligned, open, resonant, and the field responded instantly. That wasn't luck, that was coherence, that was you tuning in without even realizing it. The tragedy is that most people think that kind of magic is rare. It's not rare, it's just unpracticed. And when you learn how to make that alignment your default, not your accident, you stop manifesting with effort and start manifesting with elegance. And most people never get there because they think more complexity equals more power. But in the quantum realm, it's the opposite. Power is simplicity. Power is clarity. Power is when your whole system sends one clear message, not "I hope" or "I wish" or "please," but "I already am." And the moment you embody that signal, reality starts organizing itself around you. Because in the quantum field, the external always follows the internal. Every time, without exception, you've been taught to want things, to write them down, to declare them, to chase them. From an early age, the message is clear: work hard, focus, achieve. So when manifestation enters the conversation, it's no surprise that most people approach it the same way. As a task, as a pursuit, as something you need to get. But here's the radical truth. The quantum field doesn't reward the chase. In fact, the very energy of chasing creates distance. When you chase something, you are confirming that you don't have it. You are reinforcing separation. You are broadcasting lack. The harder you reach, the more the field reflects back the fact that you're still reaching. Manifestation in the quantum sense isn't about getting, it's about becoming. And that distinction is everything. You're not here to fight for your dreams. You're here to tune into the version of yourself that already lives them. This isn't a motivational slogan. It's a fundamental law of how reality forms. The version of your life where you're already healthy, wealthy, deeply in love, creatively expressed. That version already exists in the quantum field. It's real, it's available, and it's waiting for you to align with it. Not tomorrow, not after you finish your to-do list. Now, alignment doesn't mean imagining the outcome. It means embodying the state of the person who already has the outcome. It means thinking their thoughts, feeling their emotions, walking with their posture, breathing with their ease, speaking with their certainty. And the paradox? The more you are that version of yourself, the less you need the external to prove it. You become self-sourced, internally sufficient, and the moment you no longer need the external to validate you, that's when it arrives. This is what quantum manifestation actually looks like. It's not a vision board, it's not a ritual, it's a shift in identity. An identity is built through repetition. You don't step into it once, you practice it, you nurture it, you protect it. Every time you choose to respond as the version of you who already has what you desire, you strengthen the signal. And the quantum field responds not to your longing, but to your being. It doesn't care what you want, it reflects what you are. That's why becoming is the real work, and becoming begins in the present. But here's where most people get stuck. They're trying to manifest from force. They believe if they just say the affirmation enough times, if they just visualize hard enough, if they just force themselves to believe, something will finally shift. But forcing is the opposite of alignment. Forcing creates tension. Tension creates noise, and noise scrambles the signal. Imagine trying to tune a radio while shouting at it to change stations. The shouting doesn't help. It only makes it harder to hear. In the quantum field, clarity is everything, and clarity comes from coherence, not pressure. Coherence means your thoughts, emotions, and actions are moving in the same direction. Most people are fractured. Their mind is saying yes, but their body is screaming no. Their heart is aching with doubt. Their energy is full of fear, and they wonder why it isn't working. The field isn't broken, the technique isn't flawed. It's the lack of coherence that blocks the outcome. The signal is too distorted to collapse the desired timeline into form. So what does coherence actually look like? It's subtle, but powerful. It's when you think, "I am ready," and your body relaxes instead of tensing. It's when you speak your desire out loud and feel joy instead of fear. It's when you visualize the future and your nervous system believes it's safe, not threatened. Coherence feels like flow, like internal agreement, like your entire being is broadcasting the same message. And when that happens, even for a few moments, the quantum field begins to reorganize reality around you, not slowly, instantly, but only in proportion to your alignment. Most people are manifesting with crossed wires. Their actions contradict their beliefs. Their emotions contradict their desires. Their words contradict their energy. And the field can only mirror what's coherent, not what's chaotic. You can't fool the field. You can't skip embodiment. You can't bypass the internal work. And that's why many give up. They think manifestation doesn't work, when in truth, they've never actually become the signal they're trying to send. When you force reality to change before you've changed, you're in resistance. And resistance tells the field, I don't trust. The field mirrors back that mistrust, not because it's cruel, but because it's accurate. Trust isn't passive. Trust is powerful. Trust is what allows you to hold the frequency of the desired outcome even when the evidence isn't there yet. Trust is what keeps you coherent when fear wants to take the wheel. And trust is the ultimate energetic message that says, I already have it. Because when you truly believe that, the field agrees. The difference between struggle and ease, between friction and flow, between stuck and aligned, is coherence. And coherence isn't a technique, it's a lifestyle. A state of being, a daily choice to align your entire system with the version of you that no longer chases, but simply is. That version isn't in the future, it's not hidden behind some secret technique. It's already here, and every time you align with it, you collapse a new reality into now. If this is so simple, why doesn't everyone do it? That's the question that stops people in their tracks. If quantum manifestation really is about alignment and coherence, not about grinding or striving, why are so many still stuck in loops of struggle, doubt, and waiting? The answer is uncomfortable, but it holds the key. Because the truth is, simplicity is confronting. When something is simple, it strips away your excuses. It puts the responsibility directly in your hands. And for many, that level of power is terrifying. We've been conditioned to associate results with effort, to believe that value comes from hard work, that success must be earned through struggle. So when we're told that the deepest transformation comes from letting go, not pushing harder, it short-circuits everything we've been taught to believe. There's also something seductive about complexity. When the answer is complicated, it gives you permission to stay in motion without changing. You can stay busy, stay learning, stay improving, without ever stepping into full alignment. Complexity becomes a shield, a way to delay the actual leap into embodiment. And here's the paradox no one wants to admit. Most people would rather chase the dream than live it, because chasing feels familiar. It keeps your identity intact. It lets you keep the story that you're almost there, that you're working on it, that you're not ready yet. Actually having the thing requires you to become someone new, to surrender the identity of the seeker. And that surrender can feel like death to the ego. So we create rituals, routines, mental gymnastics, not because they're required, but because they delay the truth. The truth that you don't need more tools. You need to decide who you are now and embody it fully. Simplicity demands presence. It demands honesty. And for most, that's the hardest work of all, to sit with yourself and ask, am I willing to become the version of me who already has it, even if nothing around me changes yet? That question exposes all the reasons we resist the very thing we say we want. Because becoming that version means letting go of the struggle, the story, the timeline. It means giving up the belief that you need more time, more healing, more proof. It means collapsing the waiting. And when you do that, there's nothing left to hide behind. That's where freedom lives, but also where responsibility begins. And this is why nobody talks about how simple this truly is. Because simplicity isn't safe. It's revolutionary. It invites you into full creative authority over your life. And that level of power can either liberate you or terrify you. Most people choose fear, not consciously, but through hesitation, through overthinking, through endless preparation. They delay embodiment while convincing themselves they're getting ready. But in the quantum, you don't get ready. You remember, you align, you become, and from that state, life organizes around you with stunning precision. Now here's where the shift gets physical. You cannot stay in coherence with your mind alone. Your thoughts matter, yes, but your body is the antenna. Your nervous system is the signal tower. The quantum field isn't only reading your intentions, it's reading your physiology. This is why so many people fail to manifest even when they do everything right mentally. They think the affirmations, they visualize the outcomes, they repeat the mantras, But if their body is stuck in survival mode, if their nervous system is locked in fight or flight, the signal they're broadcasting is fear. And the quantum doesn't listen to your words, it mirrors your frequency every time. Most people are trying to manifest from a dysregulated state. They're visualizing abundance while clenching their jaw in stress. They're affirming love while holding their breath in anxiety. They're scripting perfect futures while their chest is tight, their stomach is tense, their muscles are braced, and they don't even realize it, because we've been trained to live from the neck up, to think our way into solutions. But in the quantum, your body is your message. If your nervous system is sending out a signal of lack, the field responds with more lack, not as punishment, but as a mirror. It's not what you say, it's what you radiate. This is why embodiment is non-negotiable. You can't fake coherence. You have to feel it. Your breath, your posture, your presence, all of it needs to align. And this doesn't mean forcing yourself to feel good all the time. That's not embodiment. That's bypassing. True embodiment means being aware of your state, knowing how to regulate it, and learning how to shift into alignment, not with perfection, but with presence. It means recognizing when your body is signaling fear and choosing to pause, breathe, and return to trust. It means noticing when you're out of sync, not with judgment, but with curiosity, and gently guiding yourself back into coherence. The more you learn to live from this state, the clearer your signal becomes. The more the quantum field can respond, not with vague signs or distant promises, but with real, tangible, often immediate shifts in your external world. Because once your body and your intention are aligned, the field has no choice but to reflect that clarity. This isn't metaphysical poetry, it's quantum mechanics. It's how waveforms collapse into particles. It's how timelines become tangible. And it all starts with your system being on the same page. So ask yourself, when you say you're ready for more, does your body believe you? Do your breath, your heart rate, your tone of voice, your posture, all reflect the energy of someone who already has it? Or are you unknowingly broadcasting doubt, tension, and fear while your words try to cover it up? You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be congruent. The field doesn't need your best performance, it needs your truest signal, and that signal lives in your body. Every moment, every breath, every choice. The more attuned you become to your internal state, the more magnetic you become to the outcomes you've always wanted. This is the hidden layer of manifestation, the one most teachings skip, because it's not as flashy, it's not as easy to package into a 5-step plan. But it's the difference between talking about change and becoming it, between hoping for alignment and embodying it. And once you anchor into this truth, once you live it in your cells, not just your thoughts, manifestation stops being a technique. It becomes your natural state. Most people think manifestation is about feeling good all the time, as if the goal is to bypass every negative emotion and just radiate constant positivity. But that's not how the quantum field works. It's not asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be real. What actually shapes your reality isn't how often you smile or how positive your affirmations are. It's your ability to regulate your emotional state, especially when things wobble. And they will wobble. You will feel doubt. You will feel fear. You will be tempted to return to your old story, your old timeline. The power lies not in avoiding those moments, but in how you return from them. Emotional regulation isn't about suppressing what you feel. It's about knowing how to move through it without losing your signal. Most people go into panic the moment their state shifts. They think one bad emotion will ruin their manifestation. That's not true. You're allowed to feel afraid. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to be uncertain. The key is this: can you hold space for those emotions without becoming them? Can you sit with fear and still choose to breathe deeply? Can you witness your anger and still anchor back into your intention? The people who manifest the most powerfully are not those who never feel pain. They're the ones who've learned how to stay anchored to their desired timeline even while navigating real human emotion. This is where the real magic happens. Because when you learn to regulate your state, not bypass it, not override it, but truly hold it, you become unshakable. The quantum field doesn't just mirror your peak moments. It responds to the average of your signal over time. If you keep returning to coherence, even after fear, even after grief, even after setbacks, the field picks up your consistency. It starts to match your resilience. This is where true attraction is born, not in the temporary highs, but in the practiced return to center. The stronger your emotional muscle, the more stable your frequency. And the more stable your frequency, the faster reality bends to match it. But let's get even deeper. Emotional regulation is not just about big breakdowns or life's major curveballs. It's about the subtle moments, the tiny fluctuations in your day when you start leaking energy without realizing it. When you check your phone and feel a flicker of comparison. When you open an email and your stomach tenses. When you walk into a room and shrink slightly to fit in. These micro reactions are shaping your field constantly, and the more unconscious they are, the more they dilute your signal. Regulation means becoming aware of these moments, catching the wobble in real time, and instead of spiraling into reaction, choosing to pause, choosing to shift, choosing to breathe. That choice, repeated again and again, is what rewires your field. You don't have to force your emotions into positivity, but you do have to reclaim authority over your state. Because when your state is consistent, your signal becomes undeniable. That's when the quantum field starts responding not just occasionally, but reliably. Not with random bursts of synchronicity, but with a steady unfolding of events that match your internal landscape. It's not about pretending to be calm. It's about becoming calm from the inside out. And that calm isn't passive. It's powerful. It tells the field, I'm ready. I trust. I already am. And this is where the shift from effort to attraction becomes real. Because once your internal state stabilizes, you no longer need to chase. You don't beg the universe to deliver. You don't watch the clock or track the signs. You simply know. And in that knowing, you become magnetic. Your presence becomes a beacon. Not because you're trying to get anything, but because you've already become the version of you who has it. The field reads that clarity and collapses reality to reflect it. But none of this happens without one crucial element, your awareness of what you're broadcasting right now. Most people are manifesting unconsciously, not because they're lazy, but because they haven't stopped to observe what they're actually transmitting. They think they're tuned to abundance while carrying the energy of scarcity. They think they're aligned with love while holding resentment in their body. They speak the words, but their energy says otherwise. And the field isn't listening to your voice, it's listening to your vibration. So the real question is, what timeline are you tuned into, moment by moment? Are you thinking about success while embodying doubt? Are you visualizing health while gripping your body with fear? Are you dreaming of freedom while making choices from contraction? These aren't flaws, they're signals, and every signal can be adjusted. The moment you notice the mismatch, you reclaim the power to choose again. That choice is the beginning of coherence. Here's where it becomes simple, but not always easy. You must train your awareness to catch your state as it shifts. You must become the observer of your frequency in real time. And this is not about judgment, it's about precision. Your life reflects what you broadcast, not what you hope for. So the more accurately you can assess your current state, the more powerfully you can recalibrate it. If you want abundance, you must feel abundant. Not later, but now. If you want love, you must radiate love. Not only in moments of romance, but in how you treat yourself, how you walk through the world, how you speak to strangers. If you want freedom, you must make choices from a place of freedom, not fear. This is how you collapse timelines. Not with more vision boards, not with louder affirmations, but with quieter alignment, with deeper coherence, with embodied presence. When your whole being says yes, Your thoughts, your breath, your emotions, your actions. The field says yes right back. And that's when life begins to move in ways that feel like miracles. But they're not miracles. They're mirrors, reflecting back what you've finally allowed yourself to become. You don't need another ritual. You don't need a more complicated morning routine or a list of manifestation hacks taped to your mirror. What you need is rhythm, something deeper, more alive than ritual. Because rituals can become mechanical. You say the words, you light the candle, you do the breath work, but inside, you're still doubting, still waiting, still watching the clock, hoping something will change. But rhythm isn't performance. It's a practice of presence. It's how you carry yourself when no one is watching. It's the tone of your thoughts before your feet hit the floor in the morning. It's the intention behind how you brush your teeth, pour your coffee, walk into a room. Rhythm is living from the frequency of your desired reality, not visiting it once a day in a meditation. And that frequency doesn't come from the external. It's not something you chase or create. It's something you tune into. That tuning happens moment by moment, not just in your morning ritual, but in the middle of your day when something annoys you, when something triggers you, when things feel off. The question isn't, how do I get back into alignment once a day? It's, can I stay aligned through the fluctuations of life? That's what rhythm does. It brings manifestation down from the clouds and into your breath, your posture, your choices. It becomes the silent language your body speaks to the quantum field. You don't have to announce your desires to the universe every morning. You live them, you breathe them, you become them. The most powerful frequency you can broadcast is the frequency of already done, not in words, but in energy. And this is what most people miss. They wait for proof before they shift their state. They think alignment is a reward for results. But in the quantum, it's the opposite. You don't align after it happens. You align so it can happen. That means practicing the emotional state of already having the thing before a single piece of external evidence shows up. You feel it in your body. You ground it into your breath. You walk through your day as the version of you who already lives in that reality. Not because you're pretending, but because that version of you already exists in the field. And the only thing collapsing it into form is your consistency. And here's the part no one tells you. It's not about being perfect. It's about returning. Real rhythm allows wobble. It allows imperfection. You will fall out of alignment. You will have days when your state spirals, when your old timeline tugs at you. That's okay. That's human. The practice isn't to never fall. It's to know how to return. Can you catch yourself in the moment of contraction and gently shift? Can you notice the old fear without making it your identity again? Can you pause before reacting, breathe, and choose a different frequency? That return, that micro shift, is where quantum reality begins to bend. Not because you forced it, but because you became the version of you who no longer needs to chase. When this becomes your rhythm, manifestation becomes inevitable. The field can't help but respond to a coherent, consistent signal. It doesn't need intensity, it needs clarity. And the clearer your rhythm, the faster your reality shifts to reflect it. This isn't theory, this is physics. Energy meets resonance. The field collapses around the observer. And when your internal world is steady, coherent, congruent, the external world follows. But now, let's go even deeper. Because all of this, the alignment, the coherence, the rhythm, only works when you finally understand the truth most people miss. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. Wanting comes from separation. Wanting reinforces lack. When you want something, you are inherently saying, "It's not here," and the field mirrors that truth. But when you become it, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions harmonize into a single embodied frequency, that's when the shift happens. The universe doesn't respond to your vision board. It responds to the vibration you carry into every moment. This is the ultimate law. The field reflects you. Not your effort, not your prayers, not your perfect scripting journal. You, your state, your presence, your frequency. Most people don't want to hear that. They want a shortcut. They want a checklist. But manifestation isn't a checklist. It's a mirror. And mirrors don't lie. They reflect. That's why the deepest shift you can make is not to want harder, but to become the version of you who doesn't need to try. The version who already knows, who already trusts, who already is. And that version is not hypothetical. It's real. It exists. Right now, within the quantum field, there are infinite versions of you playing out every possible timeline. The one who keeps struggling, the one who always almost gets there, and the one who lives in effortless alignment. You don't need to build that version. You need to tune to them, collapse into them, embody their choices, their emotions, their calm. And the moment you do, the field begins collapsing your external world around that reality. So, how do you hold that state when life is still showing you the old story? How do you keep the frequency when the evidence hasn't arrived? This is the hardest part, and the most important. Because the final test is not whether you can visualize, it's whether you can anchor. Can you hold the vibration of already done while the world still looks the same? Can you trust the frequency long enough for the form to catch up? Most people can't. They wobble too soon. They look around, see no proof, and retreat back to fear. And that retreat resets the field. It signals misalignment, not because they failed, but because they didn't hold. To hold the vibration is not to ignore reality. It's to recognize that reality is a lagging indicator of your past state. What you see now is not the truth. It's the echo, and echoes fade. What matters is the signal you're sending now. When you become consistent in that signal, despite the noise, the field shifts, the people change, the money shows up, the opportunities rearrange, but only when your signal becomes unshakable. That's the difference between those who manifest sometimes and those who live in continuous creation. The field isn't random, it's responsive. And this brings us to the most sacred truth of all. You are not separate from the field. You are not talking to it, praying to it, hoping it hears you. You are it. You are the wave and the observer, the energy and the form, the sender and the message. When you align your internal frequency, you don't just attract reality, you shape it. You don't manifest from the outside in, you manifest from the inside out. Not because you're manipulating the world, but because you're becoming the version of you that no longer waits. You are the field in motion, the creator cloaked in a human form. And the moment you stop trying to control the outcome and start mastering your state, you remember what's always been true. It was never about getting the thing. It was always about becoming the one who already has it. The moment you live from that state, not occasionally, not when it's easy, but as your default, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly favors you, but because you finally stopped resisting who you truly are. You are the signal. You are the source. You are the switch that collapses potential into form. And the sooner you embody that truth, not as theory, but as identity, the sooner your world begins to reflect it, not one day. Now,